Hello folks, the Y Guy here again. Welcome to my home on this very cold winter day. There's a snowstorm behind me, as you might be able to see on this video. I'm not sure. Name of this video is called "The Y Guy Sucker Born Every Minute." Now, there's this term that was famous for about 100 years called "there's a sucker born every minute." You know, and some of you younger folk may not relate with that term, but it was around for about 100 years, like I said. And there was this man named George Hull. Roughly circa 1869, he took advantage of this controversy that was going around over whether there were giants in America or not, you know, in times past. So in this effort to make some money, he had this giant carved out of stone, and he did it so meticulously that he even had small holes put in the surface of it that was represented, what pores in the skin. That's how good apparently this giant was, and it became so popular that people from all over the world traveled. Sorry, I'm kind of stuttering because I'm cold. But anyway, people from all over the world traveled to see this thing, and he made a lot of money on this thing. And so this P.T. Barnum, the guy that had the famous circus, you know, that traveled throughout the country, he tried to buy this exhibit from him, but he failed. But instead, some banker from New York bought it for 30 grand, but this George Hull, he held on to 2/3 of the profits. Smart businessman, I think. Well, P.T. Barnum didn't like this idea, you know, to be outdone by this novice entertainer. So he had his own giant carved, you see. And then he claimed that the one that this David Hunnan bought from New York, that he paid 30 grand for. Anyway, he claimed that he had the fake, that he actually sold the real one to P.T. Barnum. Well, this Hunnan heard about this story, and so apparently he came up with this saying, going, well, there's a sucker born every minute. You know, thinking about all these suckers going to P.T. Barnum's circus and seeing this display of this fake giant. Well, there was this lawsuit, of course, that took place, and one of the guys who testified, obviously, was the original person, Mr. Hull, George Hull, and he testified that they both were fakes. Okay, and that he just made it all up. And so, you know, who knows who came up with the saying of there's a sucker born every minute. But, you know, there's still a lot of people, the point of this video, there's still a lot of people who will believe anything that they want to believe, you see, because they actually want to because they want to believe it. You know, Carl Sagan had this statement that I'm going to quote. It says, he said, you can't convince a believer of anything. And he's not talking about Christian believers, you know, in a Christian context. He's just talking about believers in general. You can't convince a believer of anything, for belief is not based on evidence. For their belief is not based on evidence. It's based on a deep-seated need to believe, by Carl Sagan. Now, anyway, not meticulously, but metaphorically speaking, there are no limits to the amount of what kinds of fake giants being constructed, you know, in our lives, just to make money. And I want to point some of those out right now, or one of them specifically. You know, lies and stories are made up all the time that have become believable, folks. All of us have read so many stories and heard so many lies that frankly, it's just numbing to the brain. You know, we just dismiss them without giving them due process, you know, testing them. And some of these stories actually come from pulpits within churches. They're just so unbelievable that it's laughable, and it saddens me all at the same time. You know, the doctrine of hell is a fake giant that has been used to make money. You don't think so? How do you think all those cathedrals were paid for throughout the world? You know, fact check that, okay? And also fact check this, that if you look into the financial public records of Bible publishers, Bibles with hell in them, you know, outsold the Bibles without hell in them. Astronomically so. They really did. So the question is, where did these stories of hell come from? All right, I've done videos on that, on the origins of these kind of things, dating way back on clay tablets from ancient Babylonia. I mean, folks. But anyway, what groups of ancient pagan gurus, so to speak, made them up? And they spread them around campfires, you know? Well, why did they do that? Now, here's a couple of possible answers. It's probably for the simple fact of, at first, just to get attention. You know how it is when you're around campfires with your family and friends, and you'll say just about anything just to get attention. I have a feeling that's pretty much, I bet you, just knowing human nature, I bet you that's how it actually originated. And, oh, there's my little sweetie driving up. She always drives up when I do videos for some reason. It just seems to work out that way. Well, then later on, though, after these stories are made up, it became a profitable way to control the peasants and to make money by selling forgiveness. That's fact in church history, folks. Christian church history. It's disgusting. In closing, don't get me wrong. I don't think Christianity is a hoax. But some of the stories and lies make it, some of the stories and lies that come out of Christendom just makes it hard to know where the truth stops and all the fake and the lies begin, folks. Don't be part of the suckers of the world. Hold on tight to what's real. And what is real? I'll give you one example. You can trust God to reconcile all of creation. It doesn't get more real than that, folks. So don't swallow that. Don't be a sucker with that hell doctrine. Anyway, if you disagree with me, leave a polite disagreeing comment on this YouTube channel and a thumbs down, I suppose. And if you do happen to agree with it, give me a thumbs up. And consider leaving a positive comment to encourage other people. And also consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. And look me up on Facebook under a group called the Y Guy Group. It's a private group. And I have an avatar name of Jonathan Jones, which is public. Look me up there too. We can discuss these things. Thanks for viewing.